I want you to imagine for just a second that you are standing perfectly still in the middle of Tokyo's Shibuya crossing.
Oh man, the ultimate urban sensory overload.
Right. The light turns red for the vehicles, and suddenly, thousands of people step off the curb simultaneously. They move in this hyper-modern, overwhelming, yet somehow perfectly harmonious rhythm. You've got neon lights flashing, giant screens broadcasting. The energy is just absolutely electric.
You can practically feel the city vibrating.
Exactly. But then I want you to imagine stepping off that exact same street, sliding shut a thin paper door, and sitting on a woven tatami mat in a quiet, ancient tea room.
Wow, what a contrast.
The only sound is the scrape of a bamboo whisk against a ceramic bowl. No neon, no crowds, just absolute stillness. And it makes you wonder, which one of these is the real Japan?
Well, what's fascinating here is that they both are.
Yeah.
And the duality is exactly what makes Japan so endlessly captivating. But, I mean, it's also what makes it incredibly daunting for anyone trying to actually plan a visit there.
Absolutely. And welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a stack of sources today to help us decode Japan. We've got a mix of detailed travel itineraries from Seaborn, alongside this really fantastic, deeply philosophical travel essay by Tonja at Luxe Code Travel.
It's a great essay.
It really is. And our mission today isn't just to list off what you should see when you go to Japan. We're looking fundamentally at how to experience it so that you don't return home needing a vacation from your vacation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the central tension with Japan is its density.
Right.
How does a traveler even begin to navigate an environment packed with that much cultural data without just, completely shutting down?
You have to start by accepting that you simply cannot do it all. You just can't.
Yeah, that's step one.
Before we can even touch on the slower, quieter side of Japan, we have to address the sheer volume of Tokyo. According to the Seaborn guides we have, the only way to survive a multifaceted giant like Tokyo is through strict curation.
Makes sense.
You basically have to filter the city through your own specific identity. Because if you just wander out of your hotel without a filter, you're going to get overwhelmed. It's like staring at a streaming service with too many options.
Oh, choice paralysis.
Exactly. If you don't have an algorithm or a specific genre in mind, you just freeze. So the guide breaks this down into archetypes. And the underlying logic of these archetypes is what I found really interesting.
Like the sightseer archetype, for example.
Right. Let's look at the sightseer. You might head to the Tokyo Skytree for that high-altitude view, or seek out Yozakura, which are these illuminated cherry blossoms at night along the Meguro River.
Beautiful.
But then the guide points you to Sensoji Temple, built in 1649 because two fishermen supposedly pulled a golden statue of Kannon out of the river.
Right.
They build this massive temple for it, but the public isn't allowed to see the statue. It's completely hidden.
And that detail tells you so much about Japanese reverence. It's a concept known as hibutsu, or hidden Buddhas.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the belief is that the deity's power is absolute, and exposing it to, daily human gaze might actually diminish that sacredness.
Wow.
The physical presence of the artifact is enough. It doesn't need to be visually consumed by the masses to hold its power.
Which is such a stark contrast to how we treat monuments in the West, where, access is everything.
Totally.
But let's look at another filter. The foodie. I mean, Tokyo has 22 Michelin-starred sushi spots. Places like Sushi Yoshitake or Sukiyabashi Jiro.
Legendary spots.
But it's not just about the high end, right? It's Yanaka Jinza for authentic street food, or hitting up the Tsukiji outer fish market before dawn. The spectrum of dedication there is just wild.
It's a city of micro-obsessions. And that culinary dedication comes from the exact same cultural wellspring as the pop culture fan archetype.
Oh, definitely.
If you filter Tokyo through the hyper-reality of kawaii culture...
The cute culture, right?
Exactly. You end up on Takeshita Street in Harajuku, eating a rainbow-colored grilled cheese at Le Shiner.
Rainbow grilled cheese.
Or visiting Chiku, where you can pet adorable hedgehogs living in elaborately decorated dollhouses. Or Fukuru, just hanging out with owls.
And the thing is, it isn't just quirky for the sake of being quirky. It's that same obsessive dedication to a highly specific niche, which perfectly explains the shopper archetype in Ginza.
Oh, Ginza's on another level.
The guide notes that the dedication to high-end fashion there is so institutionalized that even the kids at the local public elementary school wear Armani uniforms.
Oh, wait, Armani uniforms at a public school?
Yes! Can you believe that?
Right, and while that sounds like pure extravagance, think about what it reveals regarding the culture's relationship with craftsmanship and conformity.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's early enculturation into a society that values extreme institutional quality over individual ad hoc flair.
So we have these distinct filters, these algorithms, but how do we prevent this highly curated list from just becoming a stressful checklist? Knowing your archetype doesn't necessarily save you from the exhaustion.
No, it doesn't.
Even if I know I just want to eat high-end sushi and look at hedgehogs, I can still end up rushing from one reservation to the next, treating Tokyo like a logistical battlefield.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that is exactly where Tonja's essay from Luxe Code Travel completely reframes the conversation.
She really is.
She argues that the biggest mistake travelers make in Japan isn't going to the wrong places. It's moving at the wrong velocity. Rushing actually ruins the underlying mechanism of what makes Japan work.
Because if you're sprinting, you might be looking at Japan, but you're not actually interfacing with it.
Precisely. Tonja points out that Japanese culture is fundamentally built on the concept of care, often referred to as omotenashi.
Omotenashi.
Right. And this isn't the performative, flashy customer service you get at a Western five-star hotel. It is a quiet, deeply rooted anticipation of needs. It's in the geometry of how a room is arranged, or, the specific angle a teacup is placed in front of you.
And she uses food as the ultimate lens for this, and not just as sustenance, but as a literal language.
Yes. In Japan, a traditional meal, like a multi-course kaiseki, is an act of communication. The chef is telling you about the specific micro-season. A garnish isn't just a garnish.
Right.
A specific type of maple leaf on the plate tells you exactly what week of autumn it is.
Wow.
The bowl might have a slight imperfection intentionally turned toward you to show humility. But here's the critical catch. Nuance is the very first casualty of speed.
Because if you're stressed about catching your bullet train in 40 minutes, you aren't reading the poetry of the maple leaf. You're just inhaling calories.
Exactly. True luxury, Tonja argues, isn't about golden fixtures or extravagance. It's about having the breathing room to actually pay attention.
Breathing room. I like that.
If a chef has spent 30 years mastering the precise temperature of sushi rice, and you consume it while your nervous system is in fight or flight mode from navigating the subway, you are missing the transaction.
But wait. Let me push back on this for a second.
Yeah.
If I am spending thousands of dollars and enduring a 14-hour flight across the globe, isn't the whole point to see as much as humanly possible? Doesn't slowing down mean I'm missing out on things? If I sit and contemplate a teacup for an hour, I'm leaving valuable experiences on the table.
That is a very natural instinct. I mean, we often equate volume with value.
Right. I checked off 12 landmarks today, so today was a high ROI day.
Exactly. But Tonja's counter-argument is that volume does not equal substance. What is the value of visiting 5 distinct cities if your only visceral memory of them is the fluorescent lighting of the train stations connecting them?
Ooh, yeah, that hits home.
Japan offers a texture that requires presence. If you're exhausted, you're physically there, but cognitively, you're absent.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because if we accept that substance beats volume, and we agree we need to slow down to actually perceive this culture of care, where do we go?
Right.
Finding a breathing room in Tokyo, which is a metro area of nearly 40 million people, is a pretty tall order.
It is. And that brings us to our next source, Seaborne's Guide to Another Side of Japan. To find that slower, highly refined pace, you have to leave the neon hubs and explore the coastal port cities.
The hidden ports.
Exactly. This is where regional identity has been allowed to distill without the diluting effect of mass, high-speed tourism.
I was struck by the incredible engineering and history of these smaller ports. Take Takamatsu, for instance, down on the Seto Inland Sea. It features Tamamo Castle, which has a rare seawater moat.
Which is fascinating because it's not just a ditch filled with ocean water.
Right. They engineered a system of sluice gates that perfectly control the tidal flow.
Basically weaponizing the ocean and its tides as the castle's primary defense system. It's brilliant 16th century engineering.
It really is. And culturally, it's the gateway for the massive 88-temple pilgrimage. But then you look at the food, and the regional flavor is just entirely different from Tokyo. You're eating Sanuki udon.
Ah, those light, incredibly chewy noodles.
Exactly. They rely on the specific local wheat and water profile there.
Now, transition from how Takamatsu engineered its way around the sea to how a city like Kitakyushu engineered its way around time.
Oh, the train stations.
Right. Kitakyushu managed to preserve these stunning, historic wooden train stations from the Meiji period structures that the rest of the country largely bulldozed during the rush to modernize.
And geographically, it's totally alien, too. You have the Hirodai Karst Plateau,
Yeah, that rolling landscape.
covered in these rounded limestone boulders that look exactly like flocks of grazing sheep. It's surreal. And the local culinary language there is Karashi Mentaiko.
The spicy, chili-cured cod roe. So good.
But then you move to a port like Tsuruga, and the historical weight completely shifts. Tsuruga serves as this powerful reminder of Japan's role as a gateway.
Right, it houses the Port of Humanity Museum.
Yes.
Honoring its history as the only Japanese port open to Polish orphans and Jewish refugees fleeing Europe during World War II. It's an incredibly somber, profound place.
It really is. But what fascinated me is the juxtaposition of the region. Right down the road from Tsuruga is Katsuyama, which has a massive dinosaur museum with 40 full-size skeletons.
Oh, right.
And it features these highly realistic, moving robot dinosaurs.
Robot dinosaurs.
Yeah. At first glance, that sounds absurd, but when you look at the mechanics of the region, it makes perfect sense. Fukui Prefecture is Japan's premier site for dinosaur fossils, and they also happen to have a booming, cutting-edge robotics industry.
Oh, wow.
You put those two local realities together, and you get animatronic raptors.
It's a perfect synthesis of ancient natural history and hyper-modern tech. And culinarily, that region is notorious for fugu, the pufferfish.
Right.
And the preparation of fugu embodies that Japanese concept of care we talked about earlier.
Because of the toxicity.
Exactly. It's not just a culinary novelty. The sheer rigor required a chef must undergo years of strict apprenticeship and government licensing just to be legally allowed to slice the fish.
Just to make sure the toxic parts are entirely removed.
Exactly. When you eat fugu, you are putting your life entirely in the hands of the chef's meticulous care.
That is a heavy meal. Let's move up north to Hakodate, on the island of Hokkaido. Hakodate was one of the first ports forced open to foreign trade, so the architecture reflects this wild convergence.
Yeah, you're walking past Russian-domed Greek Orthodox churches, an old British consulate.
But it's all built around a massive star-shaped fortress called Goryokaku.
It's basically a physical record of Japan negotiating its relationship with the outside world.
Yeah. But what I love about Hakodate isn't just the architecture, but how the environment forces a different pace of life. Even the local macaques have figured this out.
The snow monkeys.
Yes. At the Unikawa Onsen, you can literally watch them bathing in the steaming hot springs during winter to survive the freezing temperatures. And to top off the Hakodate experience, you eat squid ink ice cream.
Which sounds like a dare.
It does. But because it's made with that famously rich Hokkaido dairy, it has this incredibly silky texture, despite being pitch black.
Amazing. And finally, you have a place like Hitachinaka. It's home to the Ushiku Daibutsu, which is a 390-foot-high bronze Buddha.
390 feet.
To give you a sense of scale, it's roughly 3 times the size of the Statue of Liberty.
That's massive.
And you can take an elevator up into its chest, where there are 3,000 golden statuettes lining the walls. And it's all surrounded by these rolling fields of vibrant blue Nemophila blossoms. It is a landscape engineered purely for contemplation.
So if we look at this map we've just drawn, seawater moats, animatronic dinosaurs, hot spring macaques, 400-foot bronze statues, the sheer variety is staggering.
It really is.
But it brings us right back to our central logistical problem. If the goal is to travel slowly so we can actually appreciate the nuance, how do you practically visit all these spread out regions without falling back into the trap of packing, rushing, and train hopping?
This raises an important question about the mechanics of modern travel. The traditional method of stringing together multiple destinations involves constant friction.
Oh, yeah. Checking out of hotels, hauling luggage through crowded stations.
Deciphering transit schedules in a foreign language. All of that friction depletes the exact cognitive bandwidth you need to notice the culture of care.
I was actually thinking about this while reading the seaborne itineraries. They highlight these 14, 26, and 32-day voyages, and the ship acts almost like a Faraday cage for your nervous system.
Faraday cage. I love that.
Yeah, it blocks out all the logistical the packing, the navigating, the carrying bags, so the cultural signals of Japan can actually get through to you.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. When you travel by sea, you unpack exactly once. Your accommodation remains perfectly stable while the geography outside your window changes.
You eliminate the transitions.
Right. And Tonja from Luxe Code Travel calls this the pleasure of arrival.
Which we so rarely experience anymore.
Think about your own travel history. How often do we arrive at a new destination so depleted from the journey, the security lines, the turbulence, the missed connections, that by the time we sit down at a restaurant, we can't even taste the food?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
You're just staring blankly at the menu, trying to survive until you can go to sleep.
Exactly. But when you arrive by sea, you wake up, you have breakfast, and you calmly step off the ship into a new port. You haven't expended any energy to get there.
You're actually rested.
Because you are rested, you arrive with the patience and the capacity to actually observe. You have the bandwidth to notice the angle of the teacup. You can absorb the mood of the morning fish market or appreciate the sheer time it took to preserve a Meiji period train station. The vessel of delivery protects your energy.
So what does this all mean for us? Let's recap this journey we've been on today. We started by mapping out Tokyo and realized that survival in a hyperdense environment requires curating your choices based on your own interests so you don't drown in the options.
Right, curating over exhausting yourself.
Yeah.
Then we explored Tonja's philosophy, that true luxury isn't about extravagance or maximizing your checklist. It's about having the capacity to pay attention to omotenashi, that deep culture of care.
We looked at the hidden gems of Japan's coastlines, from the tidal engineering of Takamatsu to the historical weight of Tsuruga. And we discovered that the most effective way to interface with these deeply regional identities is to remove the friction of travel entirely by arriving by sea.
It's a fundamental shift from merely consuming a destination's highlights to actually experiencing its rhythms.
So to you, listening right now, the next time you are planning a trip, whether that is a month-long voyage to Hokkaido or just a weekend drive a few towns over, ask yourself a question. Do you want an itinerary full of activities? Or do you want an itinerary full of texture?
Because the logistical framework you build dictates the memories you'll be able to form.
It's positioned as a philosophy of travel, but at its core, it's a philosophy of intention.
Very true.
Which brings up one final thought for you to mull over. If the core of Japanese culture is this beautiful, quiet care in preparation and presentation, and we've established that this care can only be perceived when we stop rushing, what would happen if we applied that travel philosophy to our daily routines right here at home?
Oh, that is a very provocative idea.
Right. If we stopped treating our own mornings like a logistical battlefield, or if we actually slowed down and removed the friction from our local dinners, what hidden flavors of our own neighborhoods or our own homes might we suddenly be able to taste?
I love that.
Maybe you don't need to cross the Pacific to find a moment of real substance. Maybe you just need to slide shut the paper door in your own mind, stop rushing, and actually pay attention to what's right in front of you.
An excellent thought to end on.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, travel well and remember to look for the nuance.